Hello, everyone. So I am waiting for Shiva to pop in here. Let me see. Make sure I have a title. Let's see here. Hello. This is always the weird part in lives. Okay, posted this. See if I can pin it. Got it. Yay! Shiva, she's popping on. Yay! Shiva! How are you?
Good.
Are you outside?
I'm not. I'm just in my bedroom that looks out.
With the beautiful window. How are you doing today? How is this new moon?
It's an incredible new moon. You know, it's our second one. And I realize it's in Cancer. Cancer is all about the mother and home. And maybe it's not a coincidence that we have two this month. Maybe
I know.
we really
What was
interesting.
What was the vibe of the last one?
The last thing, well, we had 3 eclipses, as you know. So I think it's like the world really felt those 3 eclipses. So I feel like it's been just a little bit more like a little settling. I mean,
Yeah.
slight one. But what's really incredible is, well, we're going into the Lions portal. I don't know if you know about the Lions portal.
Yes, I sent it to, tell everybody who's listening though, tell us your synopsis of it.
Well, I mean, listen, there's so many people who are so much better versed in this but I just know that a couple years ago, I did a couple Kundalini workshops around the Lions portal, which is on August 8th. And I think pretty much everything that I called in 2 years ago has sort of completed.
Wow.
It's pretty incredible because it's really, you know, we're connecting to Cyrus, the star, which is, you know, since Egyptian times, they've been connected to that. And it's like 10 times bigger than the sun, you know, the star.
Wow.
Think about the star, you know, the sun energy, the yin and the yang, sun and moon. Well, this is like even more electric and magnificent.
Didn't we have it open last year too? Because crazy shit happened to me during that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a portal that opens usually between July 26th to August 12th.
Wow.
So it's this little portal that we have. And look, as you know, because I remember you said this once to me that really made an impression on me. I think you said, you know, Mercury retrograde doesn't really bother you because you...
I prosper always.
You're such an example for me because I've tried to get a little as badass as you are because there's parts of you where I'm like so inspired where you're just like, no, that's not gonna affect me. And then you know it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use the Lacy technique around that. So it's only gonna work for my benefit.
Thank you. Yes. Well, you know, like on the flip side of that, nobody has to take this in, but Max, who's a double Virgo, you know, so is your guy. Yeah. I don't know if he's affected, but Max, like everything will break on him. I mean, it's just chaos for him. And I watch from the sidelines being like, this has been awesome for me. But yeah.
Or when Venus, I mean, I really feel it when Venus, I'm so connected to Venus. I mean, we're sitting by you can't see it, but I have a little Venus altar here.
Yeah, I mean, you're so connected to Venus. I can always feel that. Even when it was in retrograde, though, it was really, I mean, you and Nitsa and I were voice chatting. Oh, it was so intense.
I mean, literally, it's love, creativity, money, abundance.
Totally.
Like you're like, what else is there? Like,
yeah, and manifestation too. Well, the one thing I wanted to kick off with, as you know, we did a little like really beautiful tea ceremony blessing for the transfer yesterday. For anybody who's listening, I did my embryo transfer and they put me on Valium. Well, they were like, it's pleasant on Valium. And I was like, fuck it, why not? I've never tried it. That was the most heart opening.
You know what? probably because your ego and your conscious mind, which I know you are so well versed in all this, probably shut down. So you're right. So maybe it was an ability for your unconscious and your heart space to really.
Oh, that's exactly what it felt like. And I thought of you and anybody I know. I was like, I totally get why people microdose now on mushrooms, like really, really low dose. I was like, I've got to call Shiva and get the number to your guy.
Well, I'm only in my second or third week. And I have to say, I'm still like, I'm feeling shifts. Definitely. I'm feeling shifts.
Yeah, I mean, what does it do particularly?
Because I get a little.
I know. You're like,
I'll take it after my Instagram live with Lacy.
Yeah, I've obviously read like the Michael Pollan book on how the brain changes, and obviously I researched so much on neuroplasticity. But I mean, for you, what have you experienced while microdosing? Because you're doing such a low dose of it.
Well, I'm following the Paul Stamets protocol, which is it's called.
Which we all know he's a genius. If anybody's listening who doesn't know of him,
and you know, if you don't know his story, but if you don't know his story, please, for all of you, you know, he's got this incredible line of mushroom supplements, and he's really like an avatar or like a beautiful light being on this planet, because his whole goal is to heal our planet.
Yeah.
And he really, the way he talks about it, I mean, I guess he had a horrible stutter as a child. You know, he was able to cure his stutter with work with mushrooms, and because it really changes the neuroplasticity of your brain. And
I'm going to comment because people are asking. So how do I spell his name correctly?
Stamets, I believe. And if you look, I mean, he has a whole line of mushroom products. Stamets, Paul Stamets, and I can't remember the name of his. I
might have done it correctly for anybody just posted, but if not, just Google. And he has a fantastic TED talk on exactly what you're talking about, using mushrooms to essentially heal, literally.
Yes, he's on so many podcasts. I think Joe Rogan has.
That was a fantastic one.
Yeah, and he really talks. He goes deep into it, and I started to, you know, I have some post-traumatic stress, or I'm overcoming.
Yeah.
And also some health stuff, like all of us. I mean, we're all living in this time that's so tumultuous. So I've tried many things, and I thought, you know what, I want to give this a try. I want to give this a try because I really feel like once we change the neural pathways in our brain, and especially with your work too, I feel like right now I'm on a stacking Joe Dispenza Lacy protocol.
I love it's my fit. You're gonna supersede your neuroplasticity in the brain.
Yes, because I'm moving in a month, and I really, you know, my goal is to take this month and really move consciously. It'll be the first time I've moved consciously and not had to like do it in trauma or fear or, you know, some negative chaos. So I'm really taking this month to do it with consciousness and also to heal myself. And so I'm using the stacking, which stacking, by the way, is niacin, which is a vitamin B, lion's mane, and psilocybin.
And that's his particular formula.
That's his particular formula because he feels like, but by the way, microdosing. So you're not totally tripping. You're not.
Yeah.
But lion's mane is so beneficial for the brain and for depression and creating new, he calls it arboring, when you create new branches in your, like a tree. So the combination of the psilocybin with the lion's mane and then niacin gets it into your bloodstream and into your brain. So it's kind of a genius thing that we found out. But I just looked today, it's so fascinating. This woman, Maria Sabine, I think was her name. She started in the 1800s. She discovered mushrooms. And today is like the day, was either her birthday or something. And she started curing people in her village in South America with mushrooms. And, you know, so this has been, you know, with us. We are fungi and mushrooms, and it's all about interconnectedness. And that's the irony when I do, you know, I think what it does is I think I told you, it kind of brings me down a level. So I don't have that. I mean, I called my friend who sent it to me, and I was like, I don't know what my ambition is.
Yeah, you were like, I need it.
I need my get up and go. I need my my fire, my pitta. I don't know what happened to it when I take the stacking. And he's like, no, that's the point. And I think that's like something I need to get used to Because now I'll just, you know, I have to pack and make products and work, and I'll just sit under the tree with the dog and just stare at the, you know, the sun and the trees. And I'll be like, so I'm not
Absolutely.
tripping. It's not tripping. It's just like, it's interesting. It's really fascinating.
I love that. And thank you for everybody who's giving the information for us in the, I think I'm watching the comments. And so it's Maria Sabina in Mexico, Central America. So thank you guys for helping us out with that. Well, yeah, thank you. And I'm really excited. I'm going to get your contact and the contact of the guy, and I'm going to start this. Like, I want this extra level of heart opening, and I'm going to do my DIs on it. Wow.
Well, that's what I've been doing is the Joe Dispenza, and then your work. I'll set up a time, and I feel like it's taking me even deeper in a way. You know.
I love it. Okay, so we got so many questions from people, and then I want to move into the moon because I just got to finish your course. Fantastic. I had started it a bit ago, but I got to fully finish it yesterday on Valium, on the new moon, or like the end of the new moon. And it was awesome. So a big one that somebody wants to know is, like, if there's one oil, even from your line, if there's just one oil to choose for face and skin to be the most luscious, the most medicinal, what would that be?
Oh, that's so hard. I would say definitely sea buckthorn is so powerful.
My favorite.
You only need a tiny, tiny bit. And it's kind of orange red. I mean, you could just look at it and it vibrates at another level.
It's, yeah.
I would say sea buckthorn, and then also rose hip is always incredible.
That's all I use.
Rose hip.
On my whole body, because it's supposed to help with getting rid of any of the sun damage, which is another question I have for you soon. And the craziest thing, I don't know if it's the beans or the rose hips, but all of my eyebrows where there were missing spots, they've just like taken off. Does it have like the castor oil effect? The rose hips?
I don't know if it has the castor, but I'm sure all oils, you know,
Yeah.
rose hip is so powerful. It has so much C in it, and you know, cell turnover, and definitely helps with the fluid, like maintaining the fluid. So probably it does stimulate something. But
Yeah.
Castor oil is great. I put castor oil on my eyebrows and eyelashes. That's really good for anybody who needs hair stimulating oil.
Yeah, it's like hair's been sprouting everywhere else too, and I'm like,
right?
But I love that. So your big one you would really suggest, body and face, would be first sea buckthorn.
Well, I do that for face. It's so precious and expensive. I don't know if I do it on the whole body unless you dilute it with some jojoba. I mean, I still love jojoba.
Yeah,
it's the closest thing to our the skin particle and cell, like under a microscope. It's the closest thing to us. So I really still love, I'm still a jojoba. I know jojoba is kind of like come and gone and people are tired of it. But another favorite oil, which I love because I've been going to Kauai since I was very young, is kukui nut, which I don't think is quite as known here. And I use it in some of my products, and it's great for your hair too. But all the women in Hawaii are just so, you know, luscious and beautiful. And I really think it's the kukui nut.
And what of your product would you say is the like most universal, face and skin?
Well, I know the Glow Balm is very popular. The women in Brooklyn sort of made the Glow Balm, you know, become popular because it was protecting their skin. It's like a protective barrier against pollution and heat and air conditioning. But my shop is closed right now. So for anyone, please go in a week or two because I'm in the midst of moving locations. So it's a little, for anyone who has an online business, you know, this is like the worst time to be closed, but yeah, we're getting through it.
You got it. Once you get, well, that can launch us into the next question. People were curious, talk about Dire Rose. They're like, what's this Dire Rose you're building outside of Austin?
Thank you. Well, yeah, it's, you know, it's definitely the next chapter. I realized, I mean, I think it's like, I remember hearing once that Anthony Hopkins like fires his agents every 5 years, like no matter what, even if they're doing well or bad. Or I just remember that stayed in my mind, and I was thinking, I think I changed my life every 10 years. Like it's just a different chapter. And this is a chapter I've always yearned for. I've always yearned to live closer to nature, be off the grid a little bit. Get connected to the land and the earth and grow more herbs and flowers that'll go into the products. And so my partner, who I met 2 years ago, it'll be 3 years in October, him and I bought land in deep country, in hill country it's called. It's like an hour and a half from Austin. And it's, you know, beautiful rolling hills and oaks. And I'm always like, it looks like Tuscany kind of, you know?
Yeah.
But there's no pizzeria and wineries. It's just,
No.
it's just like nothing. But
Yeah.
there's no, I mean, that's what's remarkable too about Texas. I mean, it's not, you don't see anything for hours and miles. It's not like, it's all privately owned and it's all protected.
That's really special. Is there a lot of conservatory happening, like conservation of the land?
Yeah, they're very protective over the land, definitely. But there's a pipeline, sadly, going up in hill country that I was like hoping, because they, you know, the one in North Dakota got stopped. Oh my gosh, it would be incredible if this one got stopped. But
I know, because you have so much precious water there. Yeah, in general. I'm excited. Are you both still thinking to host things at Dire Rose one day?
Eventually, definitely. Because he's a musician and a welder, and he used to do these things called cowboy camps, which people would go and learn how to, I mean, they'd cook a steak over a fire, they'd learn how to weld, they do, you know, he's a musician, so he played music, and it was really incredible. So we hope to have those, and maybe it would be, I mean, talk about polarity. We would have maybe
I know.
tea ceremony and kundalini and moon work cut to eating a steak over a fire. And
I love it. I can't wait to come visit you. I'm really stoked on it. Two things. I have a selfish question for you, but I know that you've always told me you kind of stay out of the sun. I mean, you work with it really medicinally, and you're smart about it. But you used to get sunspots, and I saw you the other day hosting tea to us, and I'm like, she doesn't have any sunspots. How did you get rid of them?
Well, that's interesting, because I think a lot of it has to do with hormones, because I think when my hormones were not balanced, I would get more sunspots. And I love the sun, and I do go in the sun for 10 or 15 minutes a day, kind of, I think like you do, like sun worship, but I just I try to cover my face.
I always cover my face. For anybody who's listening, I have like wide brim hats always, and my chest.
You know, I grew up here. I know my chest is a little, I grew up in LA, you know, after the age of 10, and we used to bake, well, all my friends used to bake in the sun with baby oil, and then the big stick, you know, popsicles, like with the bikinis. I always wore a burqa. For some reason, like, I was just like that weird girl who was into old movies and wanted to, like, you know, and just somehow like that pale look.
Yeah.
You know, sea of blonde beauties who are tanned, you know. And so for some reason as a kid, I just intuitively always kind of like stayed away. But even though I love the sun, I'm such that's the other polarity. I'm such an outdoorsy person. I love to hike and be outside and be in nature. But I think what's really done it with the skin, this is an interesting fact. I started taking alpha lipoic acid for health reasons, and it's an antioxidant, and I really contribute. I think it's that and glutathione, really.
Wow.
And I started making my own supplement, but you know, being so Vata and Aquarius, it's like, you know.
Yeah, already having such a company and moving and being in love and building another, it's just so much. It gets to be so much.
Yeah.
A few people wanted to know your sacred jewelry, who the jewelers are.
Oh my goodness. Well, this I got at the Renaissance Fair. I get a lot of people that ask about this on Instagram, but I got it at the Renaissance Fair. It's 1560.
I love you.
And then I put it on a gold chain, but you can find it online. I've been told there are people that this artist can make it. I don't know his name, but you can find it. And then I have my my evil eye, which is a French Marie Taglieri or something. And then I have my Mary. So I have some protective pieces that I wear.
Yeah.
By Jessica. I should post it. Circa 1700. She makes the snake and the Sacred Heart. So
circa 1700, as you're chatting, that's the number one question I always get to: where's my jewelry from? Anybody who's
beautiful.
Thank you. Anybody who's curious, it's always Savannah King. So it's Savannah King jewelry, or everybody knows Kelsey Potter, who you love.
Here's my Kelsey piece. I love
the Shiva bracelet.
The Shiva bracelet, yes.
Yeah.
And I just, she's so magical. I really
such a, like, just a beautiful fairy.
I have a body chain, but I've taken it, I need to put it back on. And I had it custom made when I, this is before I met my partner, interestingly enough, and I had engraved on it in gold, you know, self-love, like love for the self and devotion to the goddess. And it's interesting, I used to wear that chain a lot. And then when I don't quite feel like 100% of my strength yet. And then once I made a decision, when I get back in there, I'm going to put it back on. It's almost like this armor, which I love. No one can see it. It's like just for you. And I love when jewelry is like that. You know, in ancient times, women, priestesses and women who worked with medicine and plants would wear little pouches with oils or herbs as protection against, you know, against forces, negative forces against their heart. And I always love that, you know, it's nice to have pieces for yourself that no one can see.
And protective.
Yeah.
Like in Witchlight, the book that you lent me that I just finished. I loved it so much. So popping into moon cycles, for anybody who does not know, Shiva has a really incredible, accessible new course that I just got to fully finish yesterday at the tail end of the new moon. Tell us about it, Shiva, in a nutshell, really quick, and then I'm gonna throw some questions at you.
Okay. Well, the moon has been, you know, I know, again, there's so many incredible astrologers out there and moon goddesses, but I just realized that once, 10 years ago, I was really broken. I was going through divorce, career change, raising 2 girls. And one of the things that helped bring the healing was connecting to the moon, like really connecting to her. I'd never really, you know, but where I live, I have such a beautiful, connection to that wilderness. And so I would look at the moon, and then I started researching, and we are all deficient in moonlight. At one time, we used to be outside farming under the moon. At one time, we would be moonbathing.
You taught me this. I actually didn't really know about this until before you, years ago.
Yeah, no, it's really fascinating how the ultraviolet rays of the moon activate your pituitary, which creates growth hormones. So, and it also connects you to your cycle. So there's so many things about the moon. And then I started going down this rabbit hole, like what happened? How did we miss our connection? And, you know, we were at one time worshiping the moon, and then, you know, the patriarchy, whatever you want to call it, the sun worship came in. And, you know, libraries were destroyed in Alexandria, Egypt, and relics were destroyed. And we sort of lost our connection to the feminine or yin energy, which is the moon. And I mean, the calendar is 28 days, 28 to 30 days, which is a woman's cycle, you know, and there's many elements that are still around, remnants of the moon wisdom that we once had. Biodynamic farming, which I love. You know, but actually the plants change the fluid within them, you know, pertaining to the moon. And we are 70% water, the ocean. If the moon can affect the ocean, which is this large body of water, how can it not affect us? So I just started to like track my cycles, my moods. And then I just so I started this course really as a historical, factual element, and then it has some rituals in it. It has some tonics. It has some, I mean, one of the things that I found so fascinating with this moon research is there's this book by Miranda Gray that talks about white moon bleeding or red moon bleeding. Like women tend to either bleed on the new moon or the full moon. And there's a whole reason why. If it's on the new moon, you could be preparing for a child. And usually full moon bleeding is you're preparing for a project. And as you get older, you're birthing things that aren't necessarily a baby. So there's just, once you go down this rabbit hole of moon lore, it's just such a beautiful way to like tune in to the cosmos.
I love it. And you know, that's what I loved about it, is it was different than like an astrological perspective. I didn't even realize, I mean, I know this logically, but I didn't think about this cosmically and spiritually, that there were 8 phases, because I've you know, only looked at like full, noon, waxing, waning, and I loved exactly how you explained how to work with each of the phases, which was a little out of sync of what I've always known. You know, it's like full moon release, and you were like, it's more of the quarter moon, right? So it's like, I think I might be getting that incorrectly.
Oh, full moon is still a good time. Yes, we're right before full moon is still good. I always love to think of like the new moon, new intentions, new seeds, new plantings, and then you kind of plant your intention and see how it grows and matures with the moon. And then around the full moon, that period, you can start reassessing and letting things go. And you know, when you start, and you know what's also fascinating is women's hormones fluctuate on a monthly level, whereas men have the
I'm
same
so lucky. 24 hours.
in one day.
Totally.
But when you realize that, you're like, no wonder we're so different. Like, that's something that's so fascinating to me. Like, a man's, you know, peak of testosterone is in the morning, and then that's why by the afternoon he needs a nap, and then by, you know, evening he's done. Whereas we're like that on a monthly level.
Completely.
So, with like our ovulation and period. So, I mean, so fascinating, all that stuff. I don't know, I could just be a moon scholar forever.
I loved it. I think it's beautiful. And one thing that a couple of questions people had, one was any tips for natural birth control and moon cycles, which I'm happy to weigh in on as well.
Yes, please. I mean, I know, you know, I have daughters, and I'm always like, I wouldn't recommend the birth control pill at all, because I think it takes away from your cycle. And I'm sure you've read too, like, a lot of women, because they're not in tune with their natural cycle, they could like be attracted to a man they would never be attracted to otherwise when they're on the pill, because of your pheromones and your hormones. I mean, I know there's many benefits to the pill too, but I think I would use rhythm. I know that's not probably the best, but to really clock your cycle, do the ovulation kits, find out when you're fertile. I used a diaphragm for a few years when I was younger, but later I just did the rhythm and sort of like feeling it out.
Yeah, and there's so many ways. Like, we even have like the daisy now is something that people will use, so you can really do the whole temperature method to kind of spot that. What are the way? I mean, I've used birth control once in my life, so I've always definitely found these natural rhythms and ways, but there's a lot of responsible ones out there. A couple of people that I recommend checking out if you haven't yet is definitely Lacy Phillips, has some great books on it. I'm looking at people's comments. So Lacy Phillips with, what is her first book? Woman Code. And then also what's that fertility book? It's the best. My brain's so foggy since taking the progesterone. Like, I can't think straight.
The protocol or something? Is it that one?
It's like the number one biggest fertility book, and it's all about teaching you how to basically cycle sync so that all month long you have a very safe.
And you know, Dr. Christian Northrup's first book, or one of her first books, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom.
Yes, that's a fantastic book.
I found that book in my 20s when I was suffering from so many things, and this is pre-internet. And that book saved my life. And I still think that it's like a woman's Bible. Every woman should have that.
Taking charge of fertility. Sorry. I love that. Yeah, whenever we're fumbling, always post in the comments. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Taking charge of fertility. Thank you so much. But I agree with you, Shiva. And you experienced autoimmune, mid-20s. So that was before you could really like have the world at your fingertips, totally Google. So resources like that were everything.
Yeah. Back in the dark ages before the internet. I would go to Santa Monica Homeopathic Pharmacy, for any Angelinas that know that. The best. And I would just sit for hours and become my own doctor and because people couldn't figure out what was going on, you know? So yeah, thank God for those places. Yeah,
same with me. I mean, every time I would get tested with everything I had as an issue before, it would be, your tests are perfect, your labs are great, from naturopathic to, so you really do have to kind of take charge. And then a man asked, which I love this, how does the moon affect a man? You know, obviously on the waterfront, I'll let you get into that. But especially he said that he experiences pre-full moon, things are just like chaotic and intense for him. Come full moon, it's like a release and things
definitely affects men as well. I mean, that's the thing, that's the irony. It's not just the women, you know, definitely men are affected. I mean, you just look at the statistics in hospitals and...
Yo, my mom says it every time. She's a paramedic. Yeah. She's like, great, there's a full moon out. Can't wait to work all night.
Yeah. Animals. I mean, it affects all of us, and that's the crazy thing. We just can't deny it. We're just creatures of this earth, so we're connected to the cosmos. Definitely.
Absolutely. Somebody asked, Lacy, do you recommend the menstrual cup? Actually, what do you do, Shiva? What's your zero waste?
I do like the menstrual cup, but I just don't like, I don't know, something about putting up that in. So I just use, I try to bleed in the earth, so and I have a bit of that on the moon course, but I'll take cloths or organic pads, and then I'll put them in a mason jar and add water and allow it to sort of build, and then I pour it into the garden.
So yeah, I love that. And I too feel the same way. I remember Nadine Artemis, I forget which podcast she was on that I was listening to, but the menstrual cups are fantastic. I'll use those when I have to swim or something like that. So when like for instance, this last time I was at the retreat house, the whole team was there. Otherwise, if they weren't there, I would just wear my black bathing suit and not care. But the team was there as we were shooting, and I'm like, I better put the cup in to go to the river. But otherwise, I just do the Thinks panties, which I know came out that they have a little bit of toxicity in them. So
I didn't know that.
Research that. Before that, my cycle changed a lot years ago when I worked with, you know, who we both know, but a really, really big fertility acupuncturist, and he over-tonified me, so I actually bleed more now than I used to. Back then, I would just change black underwear all throughout the day. It was just regular black underwear. So I'm the same.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know, it's such an interesting thing. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I did my first sweat in New Mexico with a shaman. This was one of my first times experiencing spirituality on this realm. And I remember her saying, if you're bleeding, just bleed. You know, I don't think usually you're supposed to bleed in a sweat lodge, but she was saying that if the earth had more of women's blood, we wouldn't have as much bloodshed in the world.
Wow.
Like just we at one time used to bleed in the earth, and when you look at the compounds, I know I'm a little bit like for Dia Rose. I'm like,
you have that in your video, and it makes perfect sense. The red tent. Like that was very much what we did, you know, ancestrally.
Back to the plants. I mean, what could be more nourishing or nutritious? I mean, it's just like eating the placenta with the baby, you know. That's like something of, you know, just full circle. We need to take that nourishment in, just like the earth needs that nourishment. Yeah.
Yeah, even eating the placenta, I mean, the way, if I'm correct on this, but one of the earliest ways that I think, you know, Chinese medicine herbalism was discovered was by watching the animals. Like, what were the deers eating? What were they doing? And many animals eat their placenta. So it's like, you know, the more we can reconnect with those natural, beautiful, cyclical habits, I think it's amazing. And
it prevents postpartum. It's beneficial. You know, all the things that are good for you. It's
absolutely
amazing.
Okay, you know that 5G and EMF was going to come up. So people are wondering, what are your biggest like food, supplement, or just in general hacks to try to mitigate all of that?
I mean, it's also, I try to also do the Lacy protocol, which is not give it too much energy.
Yeah. It's my new thing. I'm like, you know, I talked about this on the podcast, but a 4th generation Christian Scientist on our team. So that alongside by side with the Joe Dispenza, which honestly the model is very similar, almost the same. He explains the science of it.
And Abraham Hicks.
Talks about it.
I mean, that was the OG for me who got me down this too.
Manifestation.
Just manifestation, and just hearing her, just it makes sense. Don't give it energy if it's really
power. Like don't let it, you know, like the more we're informed about how it can affect our body on a cellular level, the more, it's just simple science, the more we're signaling to our body what can be wrong and stressed out. And so the more that I practice and research the mind over matter and health, I'm like, nah, I can't fuck with me, can't do anything. Like, it's like I've blocked it. We'll see. Who knows what will happen? But that's my approach lately.
I agree with you. But if there was a tower right here, I can guarantee I'd probably set it on fire or burn it.
Don't worry, you're moving to the land. You won't have anything in sight.
Internet there. It's like there is no 5G there. I mean, I don't know about the Elon. I'm curious about the Elon Musk satellites. That worries me a bit because I wonder if that's going to be interfering. I know the astronomers are really against it, and that's something I'm kind of diving into now. Because that's coming, apparently.
What do you think about his brain chip?
I know, you know, I go back and forth with Musk. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, he's such an innovative person.
Yeah.
Incredible, is such a thing. And then something like that, I'm like, Well, and also, I don't like the theory or the idea, let's go to Mars. Why don't we try to save our Earth? Why don't we try to protect what we have? It's so
I know everyone's like, the patriarchy, this and that. And I'm like, wait, a white man's trying to take over Mars. using it. Like, but I mean, whatever. We all have our own.
Let's say the Amazon, where all our oxygen comes from. I mean, that's
the ocean.
The ocean. I know it doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, 5G. So I am concerned about it, only because I just posted this the other day. I mean, Silicon Valley are some of the smartest, most brilliant, educated people on this planet. And they're partially responsible for the part, maybe, you know, some of the technology in that area. They've banned 5G. And
are back on flip phones and using DuckDuck. What is it? The search engine? DuckDuck.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Max's cousin, who, you know, what is he? He's, you know, some wild engineer. And so he engineers the algorithms at Hulu. And since working and getting into that world, he's gone back to a full flip phone, and he only uses, I think it's the DuckDuckGo search engine. Like, he's like,
yeah, if you, because I
watch out what's coming.
Sorry, on Google, when I type in herbs, it'll give me all the like derogatory reasons to use the herbs. I mean, it's crazy, but that breaks my heart for some young person who's trying to discover how to heal their ovarian cysts naturally, and then it's gonna go. You know, this is like, yes, it's a new time. It's the Great Awakening, I hope, and 5G does concern me. And the things I think definitely clearing the liver. I'm sort of going into the, I'm a little late to this game, but coffee enemas I'm discovering. So I would say clearing the liver of toxins, taking greens, taking chlorophyll, spirulina, definitely B vitamins. But make sure you can methylate them, because I don't know, some people have that MFR gene. It's a mutation, which I know I have, which means you can't detox as easily as other people, which is why alcohol, I've never been a big alcohol person. And I finally realized it's because I have this gene. I feel 10 times worse than the average person when they drink it, because I can't detoxify it. So anyways, I would say, but vitamin Bs are crucial. They're saying a lot of vegans, I have nothing against veganism, but they say a lot of vegans start having emotional and depression and anxiety because they're lacking in the B vitamins, and then the 5G comes in and depletes any vitamin B you have left. So it kind of spins you into this horrible, you know, dark place. And I think nervous system, I mean, B vitamins are all about the nervous system. So I would say extra B vitamins, magnesium, all the things that we don't get from our earth anymore, also, all from our food source. We don't get it.
I have one solution to all of those.
Diet. You again. I am so impressed with you, because I've been eating beans my whole life. I've always been a bean lover. But it's not easy. It's not easy to do what you do. And I love like sweets once in a while. I'm half Persian, as Nitsa says.
Yes, and like even my Iranian uncle every day was fruit everywhere. So I'm going to be straight up here on this, because I see people asking, and exactly what you're saying, Shiva. Now doing it for a year, every body is different. So what I'm about to say is probably not perfect for somebody else's body. But essentially, like the beans or psyllium husk, which I personally only do about 3 of my servings of beans a day, and the rest is psyllium husk, or I'm way too full all day. So that's a tip. But I've realized that the rest of the things don't matter that much. So when my body's craving fruit, I eat fruit, especially now that I'm mostly healed, you know, and it's like, if I'm craving this, I do it. And I can feel my body right away if it's like, nah. So it's like, I don't eat meat all day long with it. I eat meat when I want to. I intuitively eat aside from the beans. Like I do the beans like 3 times a day in psyllium husk, and otherwise I just intuitively eat. So anybody else tuning in?
I think it's about intuitive eating, right? Intuitive eating. Once you heal, like I think you're so right. Like I was reading about the Gerson technique, which has cured so many people of cancer. And by the way, love to you all who are saying such horrible things. Honestly, I'm sending you love. I'm seeing
the people who are, don't even worry. Everybody knows, they're like, don't worry about it.
I'm just saying, we
send them love back. Right on. Yeah.
Anyways, so the Gerson Institute says to be on it for 2 years. You heal your body and then you can reintroduce everything. And I agree with you. I say do a protocol for a while, clear yourself up, and then you can slowly add all the things. And that's probably the best way, because we want to live in life. We want to have joy. We want to be able to eat and, you know, go to parties and someday or gatherings.
Totally. Yeah, and just like have balance. Balance is really the key of what we're all trying to get back to. I love that. I agree. Okay, so this was a good one, and I want to hear your version of this because I kind of have my own routine, but a holistic oral and gum health routine. What do you suggest for people who are curious about that?
You know, I adore Nadine Artemis from Living Libations. She sort of like was the first person to open me up to that. And then our dentist in Texas.
Name him, because he is mind-blowing.
McCunley Freeman, and I forget the last one, but it's Healthy Smiles, I believe, in Marble Falls, Texas.
And Nunnally, is it Dr. Nunnally?
Yeah,
Nunnally Freeman. So I'm going to put this here, but go ahead. You keep talking, Shiva.
But they turned me on to something which I need to get back on, is the water pick. You know?
Oh, he was all about it when we were there. Max does it every day.
It's really kept my immune system strong. You know, you don't catch viruses and bacterias, because imagine they go through your nose and your mouth and these orifices. So if you're using a water pick with a tiny bit of hydrogen peroxide every night, you know, that's not only good for your gums, but it's also preventative to virus, bacteria. And so I really think I need to get back on it. Actually, I've been sort of lax.
Yeah, so you're all in on that. I've got to give it a go. Max bought me one too, and I haven't done it at all. So you're all about the water pick.
The water pick, yeah. Because I think it gets to places the flossing can't, and also it's just for gum health, overall health. And you can also add some oils to it, you know, there's various.
And Nadine has fantastic Artemis, Living Libation, fantastic ones for that.
Yes, Nadine is amazing.
Do you do oil pulling still? I never took to it.
I stopped because now I do this hydrotonic drink in the morning, and that's like, I mean, I'll rinse my mouth out and then I do this drink because I realize that we're so dehydrated when we wake up, because sleeping actually dehydrates you. You lose a lot of your water fluid in your body from sleeping. I
can feel in my skin when I wake up. It's like, has nothing.
Especially in California, in this desert. So now I drink this drink, which has turmeric, shilajit, tiny bit salt, lemon, and water. Because, you know, I do my tea. I love my tea, but tea can also be dehydrating. So I try to drink that first thing in the morning now, and then I'll do the tea. But yeah, I used to do oil pulling for sure.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to cue you up on a couple more, and then I swear I won't take all of your day.
No, it's such a pleasure. I love it.
I don't know if you experience these at all. I personally don't, but you'll know if anybody.
Oh, somebody was asking about dry eyes.
Oh, yeah.
There's an herb that I just, oh gosh, it's eyebright. It's called eyebright. It's an herb.
Okay. Oh, I actually know of eyebright. You're right. So how do you consume it?
I actually have this incredible supplement, which I'll have to send you later. If I ever have eye issues, take it away. It's, sorry, my phone. It's like loose. It's got a few things in it, but it's like a supplement for eyes, holistic.
Okay, great. And you don't know the name off the top of your head for anybody who's curious?
No, but it has eyebright in it.
Eyebright. Just Google eyebright. See what that's all about. What about natural cold sore remedies? Is that something you know anything about? What?
Borax.
Borax.
Yeah.
Wow, what do you do?
I used to get canker sores, not cold sores, but I know it helps with that too. Borax is homeopathic pellets. It's like, you know, the homeopathic takes it away like instantly. You know.
So not the actual loose borax that you can use for laundry.
No. Yes.
Okay.
So homeopathic remedy.
I love it. People who were asking too, I think you touched on it a little bit. I don't drink. I don't think you drink much. You'll have wine once in a while.
Yeah. Or with my partner, you know, like a shot of tequila or something.
Nice. See? Yeah, in Texas, you'll be fine. For me, I can't personally, for anybody who's asking, just in the sense that I have the only stuff left with me that's a health issue anymore is just adrenaline based. So anything that wipes out my adrenaline, so that can be anything that spikes my blood sugar levels like crazy, booze, caffeine of any sort. So that's personally why I don't. But again, I'm a proponent, do whatever whatever, like intuitively eat, follow your body. Don't listen to what everybody else says. I did that for years, and I think that's so problematic. Really listening to what's working for you, what makes you feel great. Look, I'm about to try microdosing because I'm like, wow, that's so heart opening. I'm in, and it's going to speed up the neural pathways, you know? So I think it's all about listening to what works for you.
Yes, exactly. And then I think it's a power. It's empowering to listen to yourself. And you know, we do that by meditating. We do that by getting into nature. We're getting away from the noise, and then slowly we can listen and hear. And then you can do muscle testing on yourself eventually.
Absolutely.
You know, or pendulum or something that can like tell you, cards even, like you can start using tools if you need. I know you can see things more, but
I actually, you know, it's an interesting thing with the pendulum though, because my mom's a big pendulum. She's a big everything user and tarot and everything. But I bought one with her one day, you know, and I got it all like prepared in my energy. And I asked it 2 years ago, and I said, like, will I get pregnant naturally? It said no. Will I get pregnant doing IUI? It said no. And back then I was like, IVF, it said yeah. And I'm like, this fucking thing's wrong.
Oh my God. I know, that's the thing. And the other thing with pendulum, which I always, how do we know we're not doing? That's taken me a long time to get. Because I know I'm not consciously moving it, but am I unconsciously moving it? But as I do all the work that I've been doing, I feel like, no, it is clearly coming from source. And
totally. And look at, I'll probably get pregnant from IVF and none of the other things work.
And then
so
we'll know.
In the long run, it's right. Okay, last but not least, what moon, because we've just now moved out of the full moon, right? It's been 2.5 days it moves, right? And we're moving into waxing, if I'm right.
New moon. We're in the new, we just had new moon.
I'm sorry, we just moved out of new moon, forgive me.
Yeah. Yes.
And we're moving into waxing. Can you talk about the eight different cycles?
Oh my goodness. Well, definitely.
8 phases.
I think it's just sort of intuitive. This is a time to like think about your, oh, are you there?
I am. Is it, can you
I think
see
it's
me?
my internet.
Is it ours?
It's mine probably. But yes, I think it's almost like building, right? It's like you just start building with your new moon list. And then as the moon grows, I have on the course too, various things you can do, like what you can add to your altar in each phase of the moon. If you have and you know, having a moon altar or any altar, you know, and just having something that signifies the moon and what's happening, you know, through journal prompts too, and just kind of like seeing the build of it until the full moon. And then you can release whatever it is that you were working on, or look back and see what you've created. And that's the beauty of it. Is it like a journey that we can take for our ourselves? And then also we don't beat ourselves up either when we see where our moods fluctuate in relationship to the moon.
I love it. I love the course. Anybody out there who's remotely interested in getting, I mean, there's just like getting the history on the moon, getting synced, having rituals with the moon, also having different, like you're saying, journaling prompts with the moon, and then new moon rituals, full moon rituals. It's so, so beautiful. Only $25 if I'm correct on that, which is so accessible. Yeah. Where can we find it, Shiva?
I just figured after the pandemic, we couldn't charge. I mean, people, you know, were struggling with it, and businesses. And so it just seemed like it seemed right.
I agree. And we can find it right on your site, right? Localrose.com.
Yes, the localrose.com. And then on Instagram, it's localrose. And then it's Podia. So they can just go to the bio and it'll be up there.
Okay, I'm going to let you take 2 last closing questions that you're seeing here on the screen, Shiva, and then I'll let you have a day.
Thank you, darling. I love being here. Okay, so should I look for a question?
Yeah, here's a good one. Actually, I think this woman as well asked this before, but any practices you recommend if you're feeling down or in a slump, which I think a lot of people can relate to right now.
Yes, well, the moon course has some meditations you can do. I would also say this is a really important time to have self-love. You know, learn to love yourself as you would a child or your lover, or sometimes we forget. I have a morning meditation I do, and where I sit in the morning and I feel the earth energy coming up from my cord, from the bottom, and then I have the celestial energy coming from the top, and then I have it meet around my heart chakra, and then I envision either a star or you know, a circle of light, and then I just focus on that, which is the heart, and you just start reverberating with that love. And even if you don't feel it, fake it, because it really does work. Just start feeling that love energy, and then feel that love energy going into all your cells, into your bones, into your muscles, and just focus on that love. And I know it might sound a little new agey and cheesy, but I'm telling you, it works. And you just start, and also gratitude. Just thank you for this body. Sometimes when we're at our lowest and we can't even get it up to do that, just start with the basics. Thank you for these feet that carry me. Thank you for these arms. Thank you for this pain. At least it's showing me when I'm alive and I need to work. And also know that it's not forever. You will get through this. Everything passes, and you know, the moment will pass. And what's most important is to have that love for yourself. So I think that's really, it'll build on itself.
I agree with that. Starting somewhere like that is such a perfect, for me, I'm the same. I find I always have a tool like that I can at least lean into. And then I find that the stuff keeps flowing in. It's like my intuition starts to tell me what to do next, whether it's go make a lemon water, go out into nature right now, whatever it is. I have to have a ritual or a practice like that to keep me anchored when I'm in a low space. And then one foot leads in front of the other, I find.
Yes, it's like a domino. It will build on each other. And if you do that meditation every day, you may not feel it, but eventually you'll get to the place where you feel, you know, you feel that love, because you're a child of God. You're a child of this earth. You're perfect. You're a beautiful being.
Yes. You're innately worthy. You're innately so unique, and every single person on this planet is. So I agree. I actually do think we should ask you this one last question, Shiva, because you actually have experience with it, and then we can close out. Ovarian cysts. I've seen that pop up here a few times today.
I get so many women that ask about this, and it breaks my heart because I just feel like it's such a culmination of you know, the toxicity that we're living in. But I would say what helped me, first of all, you might be estrogen dominant. Sorry.
It's just an Aquarian conversation over here. Two Aquarians.
I mean, if you want to see my setup here, that's my
I love it. Oh, you're how I used to roll. A bunch of books. Perfect.
I need to get with an iPod, whatever, tripod. So I would say, okay, so it means sometimes, well, first of all, get the thyroid check. Always do blood. I think knowledge is power. Once we know exactly what it is, then you can treat it holistically. But you just have to know your numbers. Are you estrogen dominant? Is there something going on with the liver? Usually the liver is congested. Usually it could be low progesterone. It could be thyroid. But things that can help right away, castor oil packs. But again, check with your doctor. I'm not a doctor and we don't want anyone to get in trouble. But castor oil with a water bottle can help a lot. For me, acupuncture helped a lot. This is back in the day when I had very little resources. Greens help. Greens and things to flush out the liver. Wheatgrass helped me back in the day. Spirulina. But definitely try to find out what is causing it, because there's some underlying reason why you get cysts. And again, the cyst, thank the cyst, because it means you're fertile. Like, I am grateful. If I feel like a little cyst coming, I'm just like, thank you. I can have, you know, something's happening there. It's like a blessing.
I love that. Yeah, finding the blessing. It's really, really, it's hard to do. It's very, you know, it can be a struggle, but it's so beautiful.
The size of a grapefruit explode in New York City when I was like 30, I think, when it happened.
And you had the ambulance come, right? It's not like you hopped in a Uber or something.
I mean, it was a miracle. They saved my ovary, but it was literally, I didn't know. It was the size of a grapefruit and it exploded, and it was worse.
And people say it's worse than childbirth, that pain.
It was awful. And I remember that when I told them I had autoimmune things, they're like, okay, we'll give you steroids and I was going out and I was like, no, because I knew that the steroids are what had contributed to the cysts.
Yeah.
but they were putting me under, you know, hospitals, and so then I got cysts again.
Yeah.
But then,
Oh,
but
such
then,
terrible.
you know, back then it wasn't even that long ago, but I still think now we have so much more awareness. Now
Yeah.
we know there's collateral damage to everything. Not that sometimes you need steroids, I get it, but we
Yeah.
have to know what will happen. So yes, I would do oil rubbing. Somebody just mentioned, yes, oil rubbing is beautiful. Castor oil is a beautiful way, natural, effective way.
I love it. Thank you, Shiva, for coming on. Anybody who wants to find the course, it's at thelocalrose.com. You can see it. It's called The Moon in You.
Yes.
The Moon in You course, $25. Finished it yesterday. Love it. And a lot of what we covered today and much more is in it. So
thank you for everything you do, beautiful, Lacy. And thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.